This is the first of 2 lectures on multiplying decimals. Let's just go back and recall addition of decimals. We add a decimal. We had to line up the decimal points so that we were adding tenths to tenths, ones to ones, tens to tens, and so forth. But when we multiply fractions, things are a little bit different. So for example, 1/10 times 1/10. I'm going to go ahead and write this horizontally. When I multiply my numerator, I get 1. When I multiply my denominator, I get 100. So to write that, tenths, hundredths. So it's 1/100th. Notice the denominator didn't stay to be 10. It actually moved over a place in my placeholder on the other side of the decimal. These are the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths. So it pushed me over to this position. Let's see what happens when I take 1/100th times 1/10. Again, I'm just going to write it horizontally. Multiplying 100 times 10 is 1,000. So again, placeholder. Here's my decimal, tens, hundreds, thousands. We're going to be looking for a pattern in this by completing all the problems using these partial products. 1 4/10 times 3 tenths. 3/10 times 4/10, and 3/10 times 1. What we're doing here is that distributive property. That's what happens when you multiply. The 3/10 is multiplied by both the 4/10 and the 1. So multiplying, I get 12/100ths and 3/10. Writing it in decimal form, 12/100ths and 3/10. Lining up my decimals, adding my hundredths place, adding my tenths place, and bringing down my decimal. So the answer to that is 42/100ths. Again, using partial product, I have 4/10, and that gets distributed to the 2/100ths. 4/10 get distributed to the 3/10. Multiplying, I get 8/1000ths, and multiplying here I get 12/100ths. Again, don't forget you're multiplying the denominator and the numerator. So writing it in decimal form, 8/1000ths, there's tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 12/100ths. I'm going to put a placeholder in, combining like places, dropping my decimal. I get 128/1000ths. 5 3/10 times 2 5/10. We have lots of distribution that needs to take place here. The 5/10 is multiplied by the 3/10, and the 5/10 is multiplied by the 5. The ones position and the tenths position. Let's go ahead and multiply these. 5 times 3 is 15. 10 times 10 is 100. 5 times 5 is 25. Remember, there's a 1 underneath there. 10 times 1 is 10. 25/10 is the same as 2 5/10. Rewriting these in decimal form, 15/100ths. And I'm going to add to that 2 5/10. Again, I'm going to put that placeholder in. Recall, 5/10 is equivalent to 50/100ths. 5 dimes and 50 pennies are the same. Now my distribution is not complete. I now need to distribute the 2 to the 3/10 and the 2 to the 5. Multiplying, recall there's a 1, 6/10, and 10. So 6/10. Again, I'm going to put that 0 as a placeholder. And 10. No dimes, no pennies. Combining these two, groups. I'm going to get 5 100ths. Looking at my tenths column, it looks like I have 12 tenths. 12 tenths, which is 1 and 2 tenths. There's my 2 tenths. The 1 I'm going to bring up to the ones column. 1 and 2 now make 3 and bring down my tens. So the answer to this problem is 13 and 25 100ths. Let's try the last problem. Even more of the distribution property needs to take place. In this one, 5 tenths times 1 100th. This is the 100th column. 5 tenths times 1 tenth. And I need to take 5 tenths times 3. Multiplying, don't forget to multiply your denominator. 100 times 10 is 1,000. Numerator is 5, denominator is 100. Numerator is 15, denominator is tenths. Recall 15 tenths is the same as 1 and 5 tenths. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in decimal form, making sure my decimals line up. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 5 100ths, tenths, hundredths, but I'm going to put my placeholder in, and 1.5 or 1 and 5 tenths, 1 and 5 tenths. Now I also need to distribute this 1. 1 times 1 100th, 1 times 1 tenth, and 1 times 3. 1 times anything is itself. It's the identity rule or property. Converting these to decimals, 1 100th. Notice it needs to be in the 100th position. 1 tenth. Putting in placeholders, and 3. 3 is on the left-hand side of the decimal. Combining my hundredths, my thousandths, my hundredths in this column, my tenths, and my wholes. 4 and 665 1,000ths.